It is that time again, welcoming you back to the Andrew Lake podcast. Rise and shine, it's time to get up, be counted. Look out with your light upon the world. What a place to be. What a time to be alive. Oh my goodness, grass cutting coming. Oh my goodness, please don't start the grass cutting. The lawnmower sound. Oh no, am I going to remember my dog stepped on a bee? I stepped on a bull ant this morning when I was having my morning shower and he bit me and I was alright. It's not so bad because I know that I actually should bring you the quote of the day more importantly. I love how girls suck. It's a bit over the top, it's a bit obtuse, crude maybe, but maybe not. We'll get into it. There's a spectrum here. We're going to get into the full spectrum of the rainbow. What a wonderful colour spectrum we live. Respiration is really the true meaning of spirit. And respiration just means restriction and release. And if you think about it, is breathing in a kind of constriction? Is breathing out a kind of release? Just think about that for a moment. Now, for today's quote, I love how girls suck. If you would like to support the podcast, please do buy me a coffee. There will be a link somewhere in the description, the show notes, the comments. You'll be able to help me out with some spare change. Greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. It's beautiful to be here with you. I love how girls suck. This is like playground teasing where you're a kid in primary school and saying things. And it's so weird that kids somehow always tend to say to each other, oh, you suck, like this really mean thing. And I don't know why kids always do this. It's a kind of put down. And I remember getting this a couple of times when I was a kid. But what really stuck in my mind was when I was I must have been 7 years old, maybe 8 years old. And I was playing in the neighborhood a little bit. And there was an older kid down the street. And he was with his skateboard and his girlfriend. And he was so obviously a bad boy. He was a bad kid. And he was doing something with his skateboard, putting wax on the gutter so he could do grinds or something. And anyway, he left and me and my friends went up to this spot where he was because we'd been trying to avoid him because we could see that he was a bad kid. And he'd written with a texter on the wall somewhere, I suck. And I didn't really get this at the time because it was like, well, why would you put yourself down like that? Why would you have a put down, a playground put down, and then put it onto yourself? Which was really just so twisted for my 7-year-old mind to sort of get around. Of course, we can see it now, right? It's just a complex of identity development and sort of the self-put down, the self-judgment talk that so many of us do actually carry on into adulthood and on through life in many complex ways and a whole variety of ways. But to the kid, that's their world. That's their real thing. Now, of course, this quote of the day, I love how girls suck. It is actually not entirely going to be taken this way as kids' playground, school ground, primary school antics, is it? That's not really what most people think. I think when you see this phrase, I love how girls suck. At first, it looks overtly heterosexual. It is the kind of t-shirt that I guess only a boy would wear. But really, if you think about it, it's a little bit bisexual. It's a little bit like, if you love how girls suck, that implies that you know how other things suck. Do you know how boys suck? Have you experienced that? Are you that open-minded? When it comes to sexuality and human consciousness, I love the rainbow. I love... don't take me the wrong way. I'm not saying I love everything. I've definitely got my own personal preferences, but I love the idea of the rainbow. I love this idea of the spectrum of colours, and not even just that the rainbow is like different colours blending into each other, but I love how there's, I always think of when you open up paint on a computer and you're playing with images and you're editing your images and you get to choose your colors, and to do a custom color, you've got the spectrum and you can move the little thing around, which is lighter and darker and across, and it's a square. Yeah, it's a spectrum because it's not left and right. It's actually up and down and left and right and all around and turning around. I mean, if it was really a full spectrum consciousness, then it would be more like a plane flying. Like if you've got some kid in a soccer field flying his plane, his toy plane with his dad, then it flies forward. It always does fly forward, but it can turn in so many different ways. It can turn left and right and up and down. It can do loop-the-loops and all sorts of things. And not only that, but the plane flies differently to a bird flying as well. So the kid and his dad are in the middle of the soccer field playing with their toy plane, flying it around up and down, and then a bird comes along and sort of swoops and flies in and out nearby it. And you can see that the two behaviors of these things that are flying are very different. They're just totally different approaches to flying. And I mean, I guess they're also both always going forwards, right? A bird always flies forward. So I guess we would need something that not only flies forward, but always also flies backwards, and also has something that flies in all sorts of directions, more like a drone or something. So we could add a drone to the picture. So I love this full spectrum idea of sexuality and consciousness. And of course, sexuality and consciousness, they're one and the same. They're very much part of the human experience. They're part of the things that we explore. And I also loved how many of the awareness intensives or the groups or the institutions use color to induce certain states of consciousness or to work with certain parts of consciousness. So I know that the diamond method works with colors of gold or colors of red. Yeah. So you might do a whole session on the color gold or gold consciousness. And there are a number of different properties within gold consciousness. And then you go in, and what the facilitator will do is ask, can you sense the certain properties of gold consciousness? And there will be a whole long list of those properties. And for some of those things, you will be able to sense them. And for some of those things, you will not be able to sense them. And then for the things that you can sense, you would describe how they are feeling within you, how they are manifesting within you, and you will find your own vocabulary, your own way of integrating it. And for the things that you can't sense, you will see if you can learn to sense it. Now, of course, if you can't sense it and it's not within you and it doesn't resonate, then that's also something to learn. You might say, I'm not sensing gold consciousness. I'm not feeling gold. That's not part of how I am. So that's also another part of it. And another one of these that I loved was, in Path of Love, they have different colors for the different days, or at least they used to do this. I don't think they do this anymore so much. So one day would be like black, one day would be white, one day would be green, one day would be brown, and it would correlate with the level of consciousness that you're working on. And some of them were obvious, yeah? So the day where you wear black, you're working with anger, you're working with the shadow, you're working with your dark side. And when the day comes that you're wearing white, you're working with your purity, you're working with your holiness, you're working with the divine. And I've even come up with my own sort of thing that I would like to do for the different days of the week. And this would be like when I have my own institution, what I would put on. So I've got all these fantasies about having different colored curtains for each day of the week. So here's what I've got. Here's what I've come up with for the full spectrum of color. Monday would be green. Tuesday would be maroon. Wednesday would be black. So that would be the shadow day, the anger day. Thursday would be blue. Friday would be copper. Saturday would be white. And Sunday would be emerald. And along with this sort of level of colors for each days of the week. It's like first tier or like one level. I've got also a second level, and I did come up with a third level, but I won't get into that. So for the second level would be like having either all of these next colors as your second tier colors for the days, or having both colors and both tiers as just 2 colors per day. So that would be like this. Monday would be green and acid green, which is sort of like a lime yellow, sort of acid green. And that's probably the most contrasting pair of the two, green and acid green. And then Tuesday would be maroon and pink. So that would be the Tantra day. That would be the day of love. That would be the day of the heart. And maroon and pink complement each other very well. And Wednesday would be black and asphalt, which is sort of like a slightly off black. So asphalt is almost pretty much black, but next to black, it looks different to black. So it's very, very dark still, very shadowy still. And then Thursday would be royal blue and sky blue, which is a beautiful combination. Royal blue and sky blue. So you've got the dark blue and the light blue. And then what are we up to? Friday? Friday would be copper and beige. So that would be sort of earthy consciousness, undifferentiated consciousness. And copper is the shining sort of metallic color. So it gets into something that's beyond the color. And then Saturday would be white and transparent. And the funny thing about the transparent is that it's see-through, which meant that if you were doing this as a kind of fashion thing, so you were actually wearing these colors, so each day of the week you're wearing the color white, then the transparent would be naked. So you would be able to incorporate some transparency and some nudity into your fashion for Saturday with white. So then we've got Sunday, which is emerald and true cyan, or light emerald. And emerald is a very interesting color. I mean, there's a number of different emeralds. Like, emerald is not just emerald. You've also got teal, and you've got Egyptian teal, and then you've got Atlantis. And these sort of things are not exactly green, but they are their own sort of spectrum. And it's funny because within a color, there is a spectrum. Emerald is not just emerald. Just like maroon is not just maroon. There's also magenta. There's also galaxy. There's also magic. And pink is not just pink. There's also Miss Piggy. I love how Miss Piggy is such a good name for a pink. And it's like, this is exactly what it means to say that there's a spectrum of consciousness, yeah? Gay is not just gay. That's like flying is not just flying. Flying your toy aeroplane in the park with your dad in the empty soccer field is not just the way that a bird flies. Flying is not just flying. There's a spectrum. There's a whole multidimensionality to it. Gay is not just gay in the same way that water is not just water. It has varying degrees of, well, there's really no other word that I can think of than purity or dilution. I probably had the most amazing water of my life when I was living in Japan. So I was there with my special friend. I could call her a girlfriend. She was a Tantra partner. She was a partner in consciousness, a soulmate, we could say. A special friend, let's call her that. I was living in Japan with a special friend, and Japan is just on a whole nother level when it comes to water. So where we were living was at this house that had a monastery, and it was used as a meditation retreat, and she ran awareness intensives there. And this house, the water supply was tapped into spring water. So it was direct from source, spring water, straight through the pipes, out the tap. So you would have a bath, so we would have a bath in spring water that is more pure than the bottled water that you get in any other country. Like, this is unbelievable. You just can't believe how pure this water is. Absolutely perfect crystal water. And you could feel it too, right? It really is, an amazing feeling. And the crazy thing about this is that my special friend would say that the tap water is not even pure enough. So direct from spring water through the pipes was not pure enough for her to cook and drink with. And what we used to do was we would actually go down the road and fill up the glass bottles from the spring itself, where it was actually coming straight out of the ground. And of course it had its mechanism there, right? There was a tap and it was sort of all fixed up with its technology. The required technology was there, but it was direct spring water filling up the bottles and having the exact cleanliness, the exact purity. And I said to her, how much does this cost? How much do you spend on your water bill? It must be outrageous. And she said, every quarter, so every 3 months, she spent the equivalent of about $40 on water. The water bill was $40. Right? This is just mind-blowing quality of living. And I said to her, wow, that's incredible. How does this society afford this? And she said, well, what happens is, in Japan, when something goes wrong, people get called up and they have to come and fix it. And these people that come and fix it, well, they don't really get paid. They're sort of volunteer basis workers. So the people that know how to run the spring water piping and all the stuff and the systems that you need to do, well, they get called up and they get trained up and they actually have to work without being paid. And when you think about it, it's like, well, being worked without paid, is that slavery? Is that a kind of injustice? Is that a inequality? Is that something that, is sort of against society? That's bad for society? What a terrible society it is that people don't get paid for the work that they do. And she says, well, no, it's only a little bit of work. It's only a part-time thing. It's only very small, and it actually provides quite a lot of quality to the society. And of course, people do appreciate it. It's the culture that people have the work of. And Japanese culture. And it was the same with the fire brigade, right? So the fire brigade people, a lot of them wouldn't get paid. And I remember hearing call-outs, right? Sometimes there would be a call-out over the speakerphone of someone saying, oh, there's a fire, can anyone come and help? So it's calling for volunteers. But yeah, anyway, Japan is on a whole nother level. I'll tell you what, the quality of life that they have over there is really something special. I know why people go to live there. I know why people decide they want to move there. But wherever you are in the world, whoever you're with, whether you're with the loved ones that you love or not, whether you're drinking pure water or not, and whether you're wherever you are, let me just say, I don't want to step on any toes. Wherever you are on the emotional, sexual spectrum, I hope you're having a beautiful day. I hope you can feel the love. Love is the full spectrum. Love is the entire ocean. Love is the sky, the earth, and the wind. Hoping you're having a beautiful day. That's all we've got time for. Oh my goodness, the manny is coming to mow the lawn. Oh my goodness, very loud. My dog stepped on a bee. Oh, I didn't get to share that song. I wanted to share that song. My dog stepped on a bee. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. Please do come back again. Subscribe. Have a beautiful day. And we'll be back soon with more. Bye-bye.